It is 6:30, and I will call to order the meeting of the Plainfield Charter Township Planning Commission. First on our agenda is to approve the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda today?
I just wanted to make a quick note that a public hearing notice was sent out for a rezone on Post Drive, and that item has been withdrawn by the applicant for this meeting. So if anyone here is for that rezone, that will likely be considered at the next meeting, and a new public hearing notice will be put out.
Any other changes? Good. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Support.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Those are approved. Hold on here a second. Public comment portion of the agenda, and just a couple guidelines here to remind everybody. The public comment portion, this will be the only opportunity to comment on the cell phone tower. There will be no public comment during that part of the agenda. Your comments will be limited to 3 minutes. There's a countdown timer that will be on both screens, so you can keep track of your time. When your 3 minutes are up, you will be informed of that. No individual may speak more than once. Public comments are not a question and answer period. They are strictly for comments. Please be respectful of others. No abusive, obscene, or irrelevant comments will be allowed. And if you wish to make a comment, please remain seated. Raise your hand, and I will acknowledge you. And when it's your turn, please come up to the microphone. Make sure you state your name and address for the record.
Brian, sorry about, we missed 3 approval of meeting minutes. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry, did we miss one? Okay, oh, yes, we need to approve the meeting minutes from the last meeting of February 25th. Was there any changes? Anybody notice anything? Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Janelle. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same signal. Meetings are approved. Thank you there. So now we'll go back to the public comment section. Is there any that would like to make a public comment at this time? Sir, if you'd step up again to the mic, state your name and address, and the timer will start once you start.
Good evening, everyone.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rod Carter. I'm an attorney with Hush Blackwell,
And I'm Amy Rodriguez with Telecad Wireless.
and we represent the applicants. I'm not going to make a lengthy statement. We want to let you know, though, that we are in the audience tonight. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. We would urge you to approve the application. I know that we have a number of different materials in your application package, and I know I wrote a letter which staff has indicated is in the application package as well. I've had the opportunity to speak with Elizabeth and with the township attorney, and I would add that one of our team members coming in tonight was on their phone when they came into town, and the call was dropped. So clearly, we believe there's a need for the tower. We believe that we satisfy the requirements under the town ordinance, under state law, and under federal law, and we urge your approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like public comment at this time? Sir?
Evening. My name is Nick Curcio, and I represent a number of homeowners in concern to the cell phone tower application that's before the Planning Commission tonight. I sent a letter to the township attorneys, I believe, Monday morning, and I've had a chance to further correspond with them today and to review the letter from the cell company's letter as well. We have 2 principal objections to the application that's before you tonight. The first is that we believe under applicable law, both as the township defines it in its own ordinances and under state law, that this application would require a division of land. The relevant definitions of division under the Land Division Act, as well as the township's subdivision ordinance, is that a lease for more than a term of a year constitutes a division. This lease is for an initial term of 5 years, automatically renewable for 4 additional terms of 4 years. It clearly exceeds that. It divides the property by giving exclusive use to the cell phone company for multiple decades, and therefore constitutes a division under applicable law. I've cited a court case in correspondence with your attorneys today where they say where a zoning ordinance doesn't in particular define the term division, you look to the state law definition, that being the Land Division Act that includes the 1-year lease provision. So for that reason, we believe that standard of your ordinance, which is an absolute requirement for granting a special use permit, isn't met, and that the application needs to be denied on that basis. As an additional basis for denial, we would cite that the application as proposed would dramatically change the nature of the road that serves that property. The sole access to the property is through a shared roadway that my clients share and maintain with the bosses, the owner of the subject site. In order to develop this parcel, the cell phone company is going to need to bring commercial vehicles, likely cranes, through that easement, and it's going to substantially change the character of the easement going forward. And we believe that's an alternative, separate basis why the application should be denied. I'll be here during your discussion. I'm happy to answer questions about our position if you have any, and we would urge you to deny the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment, anybody? Ma'am?
Hello, glad to see some new faces tonight. Hello, my name is Joy Edwards at 8319 Pine Island, and I'm glad to see some new faces here tonight. You might not have heard some of the things that we mentioned before. We have acres of land that's not covered by asphalt, only natural amenities, making up our rural preserve country area. The importance of nature and national elements has been stated and published 38 times in your township newly revised township booklet. So I know it's important to you. Our rural preserve country area is the reason we built over 36 years ago. Key points in the handbook state that environmental awareness, taking into account the needs of the natural environment, is part of your mission statement. It is also the wish to maintain community health, safety, and general welfare within our Plainfield Township goals. Country residential general characteristics stated, given that properties within this designation are not served by public utilities and are not likely to be in the near future, lots will generally be of larger areas, include single-unit housing types. Installing a cell phone tower is not stated here in the country residential language. 2017 future land uses and 2024 categories remain the same, with the rural preserve as well as country and residential verbiage being used. Again, the use of natural environment and natural features was stated 5 times on pages 74 and 75, as it was to remain the focal point. On page 102, natural features stated to provide incentives such as density bonuses or other developmental rights for property owners who commit to preserving and enhancing natural features on their land. So that must be important as well. Underground fiber optic installations are stopping at 9 Mile Road. Before I knew there was a cell phone tower, I stopped one time and said, "Are you coming to 10 Mile Road?" And they said no, that it was going to stop at 9 Mile. Upon researching the advantages of underground services, it has been said that underground services are more reliable than above-ground technology, let alone the fact that it's hidden from sight. In the area, we have less traffic noise, equitable access to green spaces, which contribute to lower stress levels and increase mental well-being. These were also stated as considerations that were important and stated in the new township booklet plans for the future. That is why people in this country residential area, it was purchased years ago knowing that we would pay higher property taxes as well. I'm sure you as a board have reviewed the statements made in February. Additional concerns that haven't been stated but have come to our attention are the following. Effects of homeowners' electrical power losses or power surges as cell tower bases use massive multiple input and output and use large numbers of antennas critical for 5G networks and increased numbers of them. So will it affect our electricity? We don't know.
Ma'am, 3 minutes. All right, I'm sorry.
I had one more page. You notice that the posters up there, I tried to, in case we didn't get to speak, there's no residential areas for it.
Thank
They're
you.
all commercial. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to speak? Public hearing, last chance. Anybody else? Ma'am, in the back?
Hi, my name is Joy Lefevre. I live at 8355 Pine Island. My property directly borders the proposed cell tower. And my comment is going to be quick. I have a copy of which I'm sure you also have a copy of. It's the current coverage and the projected new coverage that the cell tower is going to provide. The black outline shows this is Plainfield Township. This is the current Plainfield Township. This part is already well covered. This is, all it's going to do is provide a little bit more right here. The majority of extra coverage is going to be in Alpine Township and in Algoma Township. So I don't know why we need a cell phone tower when we're going to be providing the majority of the coverage to Alpine Township and to Algoma Township, and yet it's going to affect our property values, it's going to drop our property values. I spoke to the realtor that we purchased our home from, or that worked with us. She told us that it would probably drop our property values between $20,000 and $50,000, being that the cell tower would be visible from our home, and that we are 500 feet from the actual tower would be our bedroom window. So I don't know why, I don't understand why all of us have to have decreased property values so that Verizon can have, and that it can provide to Algoma and to Alpine Townships. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? Sir, up front right here.
Bill Edwards, 8319 Pine Island Drive. I gave this to you, but I'll read it. Yesterday, Monday, I had an opportunity to sit down and speak with Senator Mark Huizenga. Many of you know he was the mayor of Walker, but he was also on their planning commission for about 6 years. We discussed this issue at length. Seems he was a bit surprised this had come so far, especially with a private shared road for residential use in the conversation. I'm sure he's got lots of experience, as you folks have, and had many different issues as a planning commissioner during his time in Walker. But I did want to clarify a couple issues from last time. I believe Elizabeth mentioned this cell tower would be seen some. Yes, it will. Not only out the doors and windows of all in the area, but way down past 10 Mile Road and Highway 131, you're going to see it. Trees planted at the base, 6 foot high, provides cover for that 6 feet high. Out of 165 feet, the height of the tower, you're going to see it 159 feet. So it's going to be great for everybody when they're out there in the backyard having a barbecue, looking up at it. It was also mentioned this is a heavily wooded area. It is not. I'm not sure if any of you folks have seen this area since I've lived back in this area for over half my life. I will explain the makeup of the land at the Boss House. There was a time they had dirt bike parties on this property, which was against the Plainfield Township ordinance for the area. This is where the cell phone tower is going. The neighbors, the same ones that would be affected by a cell phone tower, complained about the noise and the dust. And the Kent County Sheriff's Office intervened, even questioning me about the family. Therefore, it is not heavily wooded, as years of dirt bike use formed a rolling pasture setting, and it isn't an ironic the same people that had these issues with the Boss family could even get it put to them even worse. Also, ECO has been contacted by residents, but not the cell phone personnel. No 301 or 303 wetlands pre-application meeting yet. The tower cannot be within 500 feet of pond or stream, which also includes standing water near the site. 580 and 678 10-mile road has a pond with a stream coming out of it. Branch heads that direction. This is according to Eagle. And also according to Eagle, this area is suspect as they see some low-lying areas and it looks wet as they can see ruts where someone has gotten stuck. They want boots on the ground because this may be a wetland as there is a natural spring that flows into the land. I would not have built my second home in Plainfield Township at this location if I thought there would ever be a cell phone tower in my backyard. You folks can stop this and all the problems associated with it, just like they did recently in Ada. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Good evening, Doug Edwards, 8315 Pine Island Drive. First, I'd just like to start off by saying that, with all due respect, I don't know what cell phone company your guy uses, but I use the T-Mobile and Verizon, and I live the furthest back. I don't have problems with cell phone service. I don't know, maybe he's got Boost Mobile or something, I'm not sure. But I would also like to add that discussing the the potential loss of 911 calls. I'd like to see a log on that because I think that's purely speculative. I think it's easy for the cell phone company to bring that up as an issue to get this approved, as well as the township. And I don't think anybody's dropping calls. I would also like to say that there was mention of when the last cell phone tower went up at the last meeting. Sounds like it went up 6 years ago in the Plainfield Township office right here. I believe it's a commercial area. You're not next to it 24/7. We will be. I don't think just because a tower hasn't been put up for 6 years that it constitutes the need for a new tower down the road. Also, in talking to Eagle, they suggested a 301 or a 303 wetlands pre-application because it can't be within 500 feet of a pond or stream and also includes standing water. And that is a very wet area. Grown up in that area my entire life, and I remember at one time that was not a buildable site. I'm not sure how a cell tower is going to go on it now. That's going to have to be 165 feet. Also, they're asking for use of our easement. And I'm not sure that's quite right if we can't use their easement. Doesn't make sense to me. Other than that, I think that's all I got. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to make a comment? Well, with seeing nobody else, we will close the public comment portion of the agenda. Next on the agenda is the wireless communication facility special use permit. Jim, you'd like to, do we have a reading of it?
Dennis.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dennis.
Dennis, I'm sorry, I was thinking the wrong way. Dennis, I'm very sorry about that.
Project name, Pine Island 10-mile cell tower. Applicant Telecad Wireless on behalf of Vertical Bridge, Verizon Wireless. Project address, 8245 Pine Island Drive, Northeast. Permanent parcel number is 41-10-06-200-057. Size of site, approximately 10.4 acres. Project description and action requested of the Planning Commission to grant a special use permit and site plan approval for a proposed 165-foot monopole cell tower and related infrastructure. Public hearing required. The public hearing was held at the February 25th, 2025 meeting. No additional public hearing is required.
Right. Staff, do we have, I'm sure we have some comments on this?
Yeah. So I'll give a few general comments. Nathan Inks with Bloom Sluggett is here, who will also make some comments, and then we just are hoping to get your questions and comments and determine next steps here. So we have heard from the applicant, we've heard from the neighbors tonight, and also via attorney letters and opinions that have all been sent to you. And also I'd like to take the opportunity to just note that the applicant or the neighbor's attorney and I share a last name, but there's no relation there. So the main issues that the neighbor's attorney and also our attorney have boiled it down to are the land division issue, as well as the private drive issue. So the land division issue, it really hinges on whether the leased portion of this property does constitute a division of the property. And our attorneys have reviewed, and they essentially need more time to look at relevant case law. But even if it does constitute a land division, we've covered that as a recommended condition of approval, because there is the property here to divide the land if that is necessary for this application after further review. So I'll let Nathan discuss that a little bit more. And just historically in the township, that's not how this leasing provision has been applied in terms of billboards, other cell towers, solar panel, ground-mounted, or agricultural leases. Those sorts of things have not been considered a division of property. And in terms of the private drive use and the character of the use, that ultimately is a private matter between private property owners. So the Planning Commission's purview here is not necessarily that. I do want to note that generally speaking, the Planning Commission should not make a decision on this application based on health or safety concerns. That's solely under the purview of the FCC. In terms of the wetlands on site, they do have to be regulated wetlands for there to be those permits to be pulled. And we would certainly make sure that the applicant did their due diligence with Eagle before a building permit was ever received. That's something we do with all applications. In terms of next steps, the township does have 90 days to review and make a decision on cell tower applications. We do have one more Planning Commission meeting scheduled within that 90-day time period. But if you do choose to postpone it tonight, we'd really like to get from you your thoughts and findings of fact on why you might be choosing that option, so we can have our attorneys review and draft better motions for you in that way. Pete, do you have anything to add before we turn it over to Nathan?
If at the end of the 90 days, you'd take no action and it effectively becomes approved, just as a reminder for that. The only other thing I want to comment on is there's a lot of private roads in the township. I've been administering them for about 25 years now. Unfortunately, a lot of them back in the 80s and 90s were just recorded as easements with not a lot of descriptive oversight, we'll say, that you see in modern private road agreements and that kind of thing. And if I recall correctly, this one is one like that. The township has reviewed these with our township attorney multiple times over the years, not necessarily this particular one. And it really is our consensus that they're a private matter when we get into the use restrictions and access over them. And I'll leave the rest of that to Nathan. He could probably answer a little bit better than I, but historically, that's where we've been at with these.
Good evening, Commissioners. Elizabeth and Pete gave a good overview, so I'll keep this relatively brief. At the last Planning Commission meeting, there were some questions about the extent to which the Planning Commission can consider the health effects or potential health effects of cell phone towers. As Elizabeth indicated, that is strictly within the purview of the FCC, so the Planning Commission cannot consider health effects or potential health effects of a cell phone tower. There was a question at the last meeting, and it was raised again tonight, about denial of a cell phone tower in Ada Township. Just to clarify, in Ada Township, that was the property owner who had decided to revoke their permission to have the cell phone tower placed on the property. I believe it was a school district. It was not the Township Planning Commission that made that decision. Obviously, a private property owner is free to decide what they allow and don't allow to go on their property. But just because a private property owner had decided to revoke permission for a cell phone tower doesn't mean that that would be grounds for the Planning Commission to do so. And then in addition to the questions that were raised at the last Planning Commission meeting, there were letters that were submitted from an attorney representing a number of nearby residents, as well as a letter from Verizon and Telecad. Those letters came in at the last minute. My office has not had a sufficient time to review the assertions regarding that a land division is necessary. But as Elizabeth said, a land division and whether a land division is granted, that would be a decision made by the land division officer. So it is my office's opinion and staff's opinion that if you decided to grant approval, that could be conditioned on the applicant complying with any land division requirements that might be required. But ultimately, the decision to divide the land and whether that is necessary is outside of the purview of the Planning Commission. So as long as the applicant complies with any requirements that might exist, in my opinion, this could be conditionally approved. The other point was regarding the easement and whether the use of the property would burden the easement regarding the roadway. As Pete and Elizabeth had indicated, the easement is a private matter. It's a private agreement between the property owners. The zoning ordinance acts independently of any private property agreements and restrictions on property. So what that means is that if this were to burden the easement, potentially the project could not go forward. But that is not a decision for the Planning Commission to make. The easement and the special land use approval operate independently. So just because special approval land use were to be granted tonight, that would not necessarily mean that the project would go forward. The applicant would have to ensure that they comply with all private property restrictions, and as well, it was brought up tonight that there are potential wetlands on or near the property. The applicant would have to comply with any eagle regulations. So I think it's important for the Planning Commission to keep in mind that special land use approval is only that, special land use approval. The applicant still needs to comply with all other legal requirements, whether those are public laws or whether those are private legal agreements between property owners. And that special land use approval does not necessarily mean that the project goes forward. It just means that it's been granted special land use approval. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions from planning commissioners.
Anything else from staff? Are we good there? Okay. Commissioners, Robin?
So as I understand it, if I had a question prior to your response about whether the road has to be worked out prior to our approval, damages and whatnot, that's not our concern. That is a concern between the homeowners and the cell phone owners. Is that right?
It would be between whatever the parties are and the underlying agreement. Short answer, yes, likely. Although I don't necessarily have all of the easement documents in front of me, so if there are other individuals who are party to those, then.
As I saw it, the amount of roadway that would be used for the tower would be fairly short from coming off of Plainfield. Is that correct? Before they go on their own built road?
The private road comes off of Pine Island Drive and then heads back, and they're coming off of that fairly early. And then it veers to the south and goes to where the Edwards family has their places primarily. So yes, this is a short distance.
It's just a short bit. That's all I had.
I appreciate the attorney's letters and explanations of where our purview lies, and I have no further questions. It was very well explained.
Jim?
No, I've had all my questions answered, and, our decision tonight, or if it's the next meeting, is based on whether the public hearing, letters, attorneys' opinions, puts us in a position where we need to make a decision on the proposed use, is that it complies with our special land use review standards. And I haven't seen anything yet that indicates that that would keep us from doing that.
Janelle?
And I think my concerns have been addressed, and though I am sorry that it might cause tensions, I feel like, again, the process has been followed, and so we're restricted in what we can really do. So I would probably support it.
Marie?
From what I hear, we have a very limited responsibility here. Most of this is covered by federal regulations, and the simple thing that we're being asked to decide is if there is a special use permit that we should grant on this. Nothing I've heard tells me that anything that's a concern, and they are concerns, is something that is going to affect our decisions regarding that special use permit at this time. So I'm convinced that I've had all my questions and concerns answered also.
I just, one question, I think, Elizabeth, you sort of covered. If we were to wish to postpone the decision, you would want a justifiable reason for that postponement, not just because we feel like it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, certainly not necessary. You can postpone without any justification, just to give staff and our attorneys a little bit to kind of work with. And
So what, if we have something that we need resolved, you know what to look for?
yes, thank
Okay,
you. Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. Okay. I think that's all the questions I have. Anybody else, second staff, we're good? I would take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I move that the planning commission grant a special use permit and site plan approval for a new cell tower and related infrastructure at 8245 Pine Island Drive based on the following findings of fact. Number one, the proposed use complies with the special land use review standards of section 29.03 of the zoning ordinance. Number two, the proposed use complies with the requirements for wireless communications facilities in section 29.40 of the zoning ordinance. Number three, the proposed site plan complies with the site plan review standards of section 35.05 of the zoning ordinance. And number four, the proposed use is further supported for the reasons set forth by members of the Planning Commission, staff, and the applicant as reflected in the entire meeting record in this matter, and subject to the following conditions of approval. Number one, the structure shall not be lit or allowed any antenna or apparatus changes of the overall height of the tower, which may cause the structure to be required lighting. Number two, each shelter and/or equipment cabinet shall be labeled with the owner's name and phone number. Number three, the gate on the equipment compound shall be labeled with the facility owner's name, phone number, and site ID number. Number four, the applicant shall register with the various tower location services to efficiently promote collection and permit at least 3 providers to co-locate unless otherwise reviewed and approved by the Community Development Department. And we wanted to add a stipulation about the division, land division.
Yeah, yep, there's an additional one. It should be on the sheets I printed out for you. If not, try to pull it up here. So number 5 here.
And, okay, number 5, thank you. The applicant shall comply with all relevant requirements of the Land Division Act, MCL 560.101, et sequence, and Chapter 28, Article 4 of the Township's Code of Ordinances, unless the township attorney determines that the applicant's lease of the property does not constitute a division of property.
Thank you, Jim. Do we have a second?
Second.
Janelle, thank you very much. All those in favor, signal by, or any further discussion? Did we cover all of our points?
Yes.
We're good there? Any other further questions came up? Everybody's good? All those in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same signal. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Now, is this where the change of agenda, our second item?
Yeah, so the second item will be the R2 residential rezone.
Okay, so we'll move on to the R2 residential rezone. Dennis, I'll get it right this time.
Yep. Project name, Leland Avenue Church Rezone. Applicant, Andrew Bohm, Remax Lakeshore. Project address, 3931 Leland Avenue Northeast. Permanent parcel number is 41-10-31-305-003. Size of site, approximately 6,000 square feet. Project description and action requested of the Planning Commission to recommend to the Township Board approval of an ordinance to amend 3931 Leland Avenue from R1A residential to R2 residential for the creation of a two-family dwelling. Public hearing required? Yes.
Thank you, Dennis. We'll start with the public hearing. Is there anybody here that would like to comment on this particular agenda item? Please raise your hand, step up to the microphone. Again, same rules apply. State your name and address. Thank you.
My name is Jim Burr. I am at 308 Bertha Street Northwest, Comstock Park, treasurer of Grand Rapids Faith Fellowship. And the reason for the request is because for the last 4 or 5 years, our congregation has been getting low. It's been getting to the point of not being able to fulfill its requirements on its utilities and many things like that coming into play. So we got the board together and we decided we'd reach out to a realtor and ask, see what he can do, see if he can help us and give us some direction. And he gave us some understanding that small churches really aren't in the demand rate at this point. And so that's the reason we reached out to him. And that's the background of all this coming into play. So just a short note on that.
Thank you. Any additional, anybody else would like to comment? Sir?
My name is Andrew Boehm. You pronounced it wrong, but that's okay. So I am the person trying to purchase this building, and this isn't my first time switching a small church to a single family or a two-family. I've done it in Ottawa County and Zeeland, and other homes as well. So our main goal is to keep the exterior exactly the same. We don't plan to change anything.
Can we hold on just one second? Because
Yeah.
I think we're going to call on you to explain the project in
sure.
just a little bit. So
Okay.
let's make sure,
Okay.
yeah, so that's fine. Is there any other public comment? Question? No?
Okay.
Okay. Then we will close the public comment section of this and we will head back to where we were so you can
Okay.
explain the project to us.
Sure. So exterior-wise, the building is going to stay 100% how it is. There's already 2 driveways on each side, so each tenant's going to have its own parking. Each tenant's going to have its own secured entrance that's not shared. And then inside, the goal is to have a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath on the main floor, a 2 to 3 bedroom in the basement with another 1.5, and to try to keep rent for each unit in that 15 to 1,700 range to try to hit affordable housing as affordable as we can for that area. So I do believe the area is headed that way. It puts a property back into tax roll, so it becomes tax revenue. Yeah, so open to any other questions that you guys may have.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Yep.
Staff, Elizabeth, Peter?
Yeah, so just a few brief comments. The property is currently zoned R1B, which is a lot of our churches are zoned that. Let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry, R1A. Just small neighborhood churches. We have seen quite a few of them, unfortunately, needing reuse. You'll see them around the township. Many of you reviewed the Palenque Place church remodel project, a similar issue there. But this is adjacent to Comstock Park business area, right across the street from Dwight Liddell and nearby to the post office and retail shop. So the master plan does call for additional density in this area to support those parks and retail and businesses. So from a master plan perspective, the use makes sense. We are undergoing zoning ordinance updates to implement the master plan. So in the future, there might be a zoning designation that makes a little bit more sense for this type of project. But as the ordinance currently is written, R2 is the best and closest fit for that. So we are recommending approval tonight. If you have any questions, let us know. Anything to add, Pete?
So Ned, you did a good job.
Thanks.
Marie, we'll start with you.
I have noticed an uptick in churches being converted over to living quarters, and it's a good use of these buildings. The one I'm thinking of, I actually got married in Bethlehem Lutheran in the Heritage Hill area, and they did a wonderful job with that. I was glad to see it repurposed rather than torn down, so I'm happy with the project.
I'm happy with the project too. I think it's a great use right in that spot and fits in well, and it's great to have a couple more units in that area.
Just a word of caution, it's a fairly active railroad line running right adjacent to the property. I bike in that area a lot, and when they go through that intersection at West River Drive, the horns are blaring. But no, I'm pleased to see the conversion of this facility and bringing more affordable residential development into the community.
Dennis?
I had a question about, it seemed as though that building's really far back, and the setback, but the rear setback is very close to the tracks. I don't know, is it currently a compliant site, a non-compliant?
No, yeah, correct. It is currently non-conforming in pretty much every way that a property can be.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are definitely some non-conforming chapter issues that we'll have to work through once site plan approval comes rolling around.
Okay, so rezoning might happen after approval from our end.
Yeah, so once the
Not rezone, I'm sorry, a ZBA to amend the setback.
potentially, there is a lot that they can do by just staff administrative approval, since they're not adding onto the building or changing the footprint of the building in any way. They can do remodeling work without going to the ZBA. So how our non-conforming chapter works is you can put a certain amount of money into the property based on the current value that staff can approve administratively. So that's something, yeah, we'll work through after the rezoning process with the
Oh, okay,
applicant.
that's the only thing I had, thank you.
Yeah.
Is that it? Dennis, you're good? Okay, Robin?
I love the idea of the conversion. Tried to do it once in another town, and I think it's a worthwhile endeavor.
I just had two questions. One, I mean, it being non-conforming and probably such a small lot, if they tore the building down, it would be difficult to do much else with it. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, if they tore the building down, they would definitely need to apply for variances.
And there, yeah, it would be a difficult site to repurpose that way.
Yes, yeah, I would assume they would need to acquire additional properties to make something happen there.
And just, I think, Elizabeth, was there a picture of the parking, what he had for parking on there? I think there was one
Yes.
picture in there, if I remember correctly. And Andrew, because you said both of these, question, I guess, to Andrew, both of these were multi-bedroom units. So, I mean, you show parking A and B. How many places are in each one? Because with multiple bedrooms, I would think there's a chance for at least 2 cars per unit, if not more.
They're single wide, so they would be tandem parked if there was 2 cars.
Oh, so they could get 2 cars on either side of the building? Okay. Would park,
Not next to each other.
but, yeah, but in line, okay. Would, I mean, additional parking in that parking lot, is that an overnight parking lot, though?
The Dwight Liddell parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that would be an option. I mean, no one would probably ever care, but technically probably not.
I mean, how would you stop them, I guess, if they did? Okay. That was the only questions I had, just some minor ones. Sure, go ahead.
There is parking in front of those steps also.
Is that, okay, that's legal parking there, you're not into the road or anything? Okay, so they could park in front if needed, okay. Any further comments, staff? We're good? I
Nothing from me, Pete?
take a motion?
I move that the planning commission recommend the township board approve the ordinance to amend to rezone 3931 Leyland Avenue from R1A residential to R2 residential based on the following findings of fact. Excuse me, I'm still recovering from bronchitis. The proposed rezoning is consistent with the township's master plan and with existing land use patterns. Number 2, the proposed rezoning is adaptive to the changing conditions in the church and housing markets. Number 3, the proposed rezoning is compatible with the existing land use patterns in the area. Number 4, the site can be adequately served by public utilities. Number 5, the rezoning does not represent spot zoning. And number 6, the proposed rezoning is further supported for those reasons set forth by the members of the Planning Commission, staff, and applicant as reflected in the entire meeting record in this matter.
Second.
Any additional comment first? Everybody's good? Okay, we had a second from Robin. All those in favor, signal by,
Further comment now. Further comment after you get a second.
okay, further comment?
Oh, just so you
We're
get the-
getting there.
Just so you get the feel of it.
Okay. Well, tell I'm new at this. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same signal. It is so passed. With that, we will go to commission comments. Robin, we'll start down there.
I have no comments.
Dennis?
I have no comment.
Jim?
No comments.
No?
No comments.
Come on, Marie, gotta have something.
I think the people with the cell phone towers that were just with us were very frustrated, but I don't think they understood a lot of this is overwritten by the federal government.
Yeah.
And that it's not just local phone calls we're worried about, it's emergency and it's people going through and it's dropped calls and it's, we don't have landlines anymore. We need cell phone towers. So that's, that, I know it was frustrating for them, but the NIMBYs are, you know, they're very focused on what they do and don't want. I would be too, so.
I would comment the same, that I think a lot of that was sort of preordained against, beyond us, that we didn't have maybe as much say in that as some people would have thought. So, just for the record. Staff, Elizabeth, Peter?
I was going to make this comment during my presentation earlier, but we're not alone in allowing cell towers in these larger lot rural residential areas. All of our neighboring communities have very similar regulations as we do. So just in case you're wondering.
Just to add to that, not to double check, but according to the plan, We really don't have that many open locations left in the township, maybe a little bit more in the northwest quadrant. So unless the technology changes, I won't expect to see much more other than the continuation of co-location or stealth towers, so. That's all I got.
With that, we will adjourn the meeting. Good job.